Hi, this is Matt Lewis from the Daily Caller, and you are listening to Vigilant Liberty Radio.
At Independent Journal Review, we publish news that is objective, fair, and entertaining. As one of the top websites in the United States, it's our duty to bring the absolute best to our readers. Readers like you. IJReview.com, your number one source for news and entertainment.
Hi, this is Taylor, and while you're listening to all the other great shows here on Vigilant Liberty Radio, be sure to check out my show on Saturday nights called Saturday Night Cigar Lounge. You never know what we're going to talk about. It's always a fun time. That's Saturday Night Cigar Lounge, Saturday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, here on Vigilant Liberty Radio.
Hi, I'm Dustin Hoyt with America Our Way, and you can hear me right here on Vigilant Liberty Radio at 10/9 Central on Thursday nights. We bring you the best in political commentary from the right-wing, conservative, libertarian perspectives coming together and bringing the best content on the internet. Be sure to tune in every week for your favorite shows. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey, this is Alfonso Rachel with 20 Pound Sledge and PJTV Zone Nation, and you're listening to VLR.
At Independent Journal Review, we publish news that is objective, fair, and entertaining. As one of the top websites in the United States, it's our duty to bring the absolute best to our readers. Readers like you. IJReview.com, your number one source for news and entertainment.
Hi, folks. Thanks for listening. This is The Right Mics with Mike Miller and Michael Hausum. During this next half hour, don't call in because we've got a special guest to talk through a few things. But you can interact with us on Twitter. And helpfully, right over the break, Dan Fitzgerald, who is our award-winning Twitter follower during the show, is killer. We were talking, in fact, I asked a question right before the break about viewership for the NBC Nightly News. And Dan just sent me, this came out this morning. I don't know if it's California time, but if it's California time, it's 45 minutes old.
Okay, no, wait. And I hate to stop you here when we have a guest on, but why do you, I mean, they used to be, back in the day, they used to think that the world revolved around the Earth. Why do you think the Earth revolves around California? Because obviously Fitzgerald lives in the Chicagoland area. And why would you assume that he assumed, when he talked about morning, it was California time?
It's not so much the world that revolves around California, I assume, Miller. It's that I assume the world revolves around me.
Well, see, that's probably closer to true. All right. So.
I mean, California interests me only because I'm here.
So if you move to Austin, Texas, then everything should be filtered through Austin.
Well, did you notice that over Thanksgiving, when I did the show from my brother's house in Minneapolis, that I made constant reference to Central Time?
Yeah, that's true. And why am I not surprised? So anyway, I'm sorry to the guest, but I just had to call you on that.
No, that's okay. I'm going to give these facts, and then I'm going to pick Siegel's gigantic brain about it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And folks, we have a personal friend of mine, friend of my family, and as I'd said before the break, radio show writer, personality, Bob Siegel on the line with us. Bob, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Michael and Mike, to both of the Mikes, it's great to be here. I'm honored.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now, we do want to talk about your book a bit, give you a chance to pitch that and explain why it is we should all go out and purchase it. Also, your article about Michael Moore. But I want to talk about Brian Williams, and let me just lay this in as a bit of a foundation. Preliminary Nielsen ratings show NBC Nightly News dropped 36% on Friday from last week's Monday to Thursday coverage. NBC competitors were down 16% at CBS, 70% on Friday. The affiliate data shows that Nightly News, which Williams anchored despite being in the news, was beaten Friday both in total viewers and in various different demos. That was on... Now, the final numbers are going to be coming in tomorrow. But basically... NBC News lost a third of its audience on Friday compared to the previous part of the week, and everybody else lost a little bit of audience compared to earlier in the week, but a fraction of that amount. So two things, Bob. Brian Williams, would you fire him? Quick yes or no. And then secondly, what are your thoughts about this whole brouhaha?
Well, yes, I would fire him, although I don't know how he would get out the door with his nose now being bigger than Pinocchio's. But what amazes me is not that their ratings went down 1/3 because of this debacle. I'm amazed that flea-bitten pest hole of a news organization didn't go off the air and lose all of their viewership 25 years ago. And with MSNBC, that just makes it even worse. I mean, it's a joke. And it is so sad that some people will still view the major three networks and PBS and I guess to a lesser degree CNN is that the mainstream media. The mainstream media is killing our country. We have a president who is a disgrace. We have an attorney general who is a disgrace. The media carries their water for them. They're cheerleaders for them. They don't do their job. Occasionally somebody from ABC News asks a good question of the president, and then ABC Nightly News doesn't even carry it. It's a joke. You guys are the new media, talk radio, to a lesser extent, the internet, that's the new media. And, of course, that's the media that President Obama, I think, is ready to shut down when he starts talking about how we need to rein in the media as he talked after the Paris shootings. That's code. When he won't use the word Islamic terrorist and he uses the word extremist, their view of Anna Napolitano told us what their view is of extreme organizations, people with single issues like abortion, military vets, people with concern about our borders, and, of course, anybody who thinks that our president isn't just doing a darling, charming job must clearly be objecting to him only because he's an African-American. If we love people like Ben Carson and Herman Cain, that doesn't count because they're Oreos, white on the inside, black outside. I could go on and on and on. But that's the real joke, is the mainstream media. The fact that Brian Williams was caught in a lie, that doesn't surprise me. But even if the guy had been telling the truth about his own personal life, they more or less lied on the things they omit when they've been carrying the wallet of this president.
Okay, so Bob, let me ask you this. I was going to ask you an entirely different question, but you just said something that I touched on. In fact, I quoted in the first hour. But Obama, you talked about the control of the media, and he blames everything on the media, which he means is Fox News and Rush Limbaugh. But Obama, to your very point, sits down with Ezra Klein, of all people, on his new Vox. It's not a station, it's a blog, and does various things. But even Ezra Klein said, polls after polls, you're the most polarizing president in history. Obama blames it on, and I'm going to quote this, the balkanization of the media. And here's the scary part. I told Housen this. It'll be the third time I mention it, but I think this is profound. He admits what he really wants. He says, problem is we don't have a common place where we get common facts and a common worldview the way we did 20, 30 years ago. And of course, as Housen pointed out, we didn't have it then. What this is really all about in his mind is Fox News and Rush. But to me, this common place, common facts, and common worldview, that he comes out and admits that he wants I think is profound that he admits it.
Well, I think so. And, they say if you listen to an evil man long enough, sooner or later he'll tell you just exactly what he wants to do. He told us when he was running in 2008 that he wanted to fundamentally transform America. He wants to destroy this country as it is, rebuild it in his own image. And I know I'm going to sound like some conspiracy theorist, but I'm really not, because conspiracy theorists don't base things on facts. They say, well, since it's a conspiracy, and it's a good conspiracy, we can't give you any facts. I'm just going by the things I'm listening to this guy say, the things I'm watching him do. This stuff with the executive orders now, is he like a kid in a candy store? I am not convinced that he plans on stepping down 2 years from now. Now, I can't prove that, and I'm not saying he'll get away with it, and he probably won't get away with it, but I think he's going to try. One of the people from his own, I think it was a member of his own cabinet, I don't recall his name at the moment, was during his first year of office, one of his own people said, never let a good crisis go to waste. At any time, we could be attacked by ISIS, and they could blame it on some right-wing conspiracy, or they could admit that it was ISIS and say that because of those extremists, we have to rein in all extremists. He is just looking for an excuse to take over the media, and he could declare martial law before the next election. I don't think this guy plans to step down.
Well, I don't get anywhere near conspiracy theories, and guys like Alex Jones and that whole crowd, and and maybe you and I would disagree on this if we knew each other better. But the whole false flag stuff at 9/11, hell, they say Sandy Hook's a false flag. But even if listen, I agree with you that he would love to be able to do that. I mean, he's how many times has he said it would be good to be king? I wish I were king, but no, man. I mean, even if he would love to do that can't happen. Pardon me?
Yeah. And then again, I'm not saying he'll get away with it, and hopefully he won't, and probably he won't. But all I'm saying, Mike and Michael, is be surprised if we see him make the attempt. That's all.
And see that, and again, I'll leave and we'll move to another subject. I disagree with that, because I don't even think even his hubris and his narcissism and his being hell-bent to hang around longer and do more fundamental transformation of America, I don't even think he has the cojones to try something like that.
Well, you might be right. It might depend on what the golf course looks like 2 years from now. So maybe he'd rather go out and do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, okay, so moving on a bit. So we're going to go ahead and put, as far as Brian Williams goes, we're going to go ahead and mark Bob Siegel down as not a fan.
I would have fired him long before. I don't care what he did at Katrina. I don't care what he did on the helicopter. I would have fired him just for being such a lousy news anchor all these years.
There we go.
Okay, well, that part I would so totally concur with. Now, before we get to your book, and we're definitely going to want to make sure we have enough time to do that, I really liked the article that you did the other day about Michael Moore, obviously on the heels of the whole Chris Kyle thing, doubling down.
Right.
Right. The headline of your article, and obviously Bob will put it up on our website as well. This time, more from Michael Moore. This time, it's about Jesus, the Gospel of St. Michael. So tell us about that, and tell us what you're thinking.
Well, what's interesting is, Michael Moore represents the left. He's a multi-millionaire off of capitalism, and yet he preaches socialism and wealth redistribution. And people on the left, whenever somebody with what they would call, for want of a better word, a right-wing cause, somebody who wants to speak against abortion, somebody who wants to speak against same-sex marriage, and maybe perhaps has a biblical reason for doing that. They'd say, whoa, jumping Jiminy, back off, separation between church and state, that doesn't belong in our discourse. So the left loves to give us these self-righteous, sanctimonious lectures about not bringing religion into the public forum, unless it's one of their causes. So you have Michael Moore saying, What would Jesus do? Would Jesus have been a sniper and shoot people in the back? But if somebody came to Michael Moore and said, well, what was Jesus' opinion of abortion?